Congressman Crenshaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for your patience, and suffering through all of our questions. It's greatly appreciated. Look, our main problem with this is, as usual, we are spending lots of money. We are attaching morality to a dollar sign. We're attaching the length to which we care about something to dollar signs. This is a fallacy, especially with infrastructure. We cannot keep throwing money at things without a better plan to incentivize at least some private investment. And this bill does the opposite in many, many cases across the spectrum. When you have an infrastructure plan, you should definitely start by making it easier to build said infrastructure instead of putting additional mandates and regulations that make it harder. But let me give you an example. Last week we debated the Clean Future Act. One of the big proponents of that act is to ban future plastic manufacturing. Okay, well, I thought we were trying to build fiber optic cable. So this question is for Mr. O'Reilly. If we're not going to be producing more plastics, if we're going to make that impossible, how does that affect our ability to lay down thousands of miles worth of fiber optic cable?
Well, it's a component of, I mean, glass and plastic and a lot of other things go into that universe. It's going to make it more difficult, more expensive, and it may even drive to buy purchases in other countries.
Another question, I've spoken to a lot of industry experts on this. Is fiber optic cable into rural areas the only way to get broadband to rural areas?
Well, it depends on what speed you're talking about. Many rural America consumers today get it through a variety of technologies and they enjoy it. Most consumers don't care what the technology is as long as it meets their family's needs. And so we have satellite, we have wireless, you've got definitely fiber, you got coax. So there are a number of different technologies that are operating today and people are able to connect to broadband. If you raise the rates and the speeds as identified in the bill, well, then you basically are saying it's only fiber.
Yeah, and I guess, let's talk about those rates. You've mentioned 25.3 over and over again. I just Googled what it takes to watch Netflix, what Netflix recommends. If you have multiple people trying to watch HD, then they want a 5 megabytes per second speed. So that's obviously significantly less than 100. Okay, I live in Houston. I don't think we suffer from low internet speeds, but look. But generally speaking, what does an urban area like mine have as far as speeds go? Would we be and my question, what I'm getting at is, would we be considered unserved if we went to this 100 speed rating?
Well, there's the estimate I've seen is that 57% of America will be deemed unserved under the definition. So I don't know if that would cover a major metropolitan city, top 10 market like Houston. I suspect probably not. But a number of markets that we would determine otherwise. I imagine Buffalo would fall in that case where I come from, and so I imagine a lot of markets that people wouldn't estimate as rural or unserved would now be deemed that way.
Congressman, yeah, 80% of Americans have 1 gigabit today. So, and I'm sure, and that's basically what cable companies provide. They are, by the way, upgrading to 10 gigabits.
Okay. I mean, I certainly don't have 1 gigabit. I can check that. I mean, the point is this: there's a lot of, and there seems to be conflicting data on this. But the point is this, and I think the point Mr. O'Reilly was making earlier, and the reason we believe, and the reason industry has told us this is what will happen to the flow of dollars if you make it 100, is when it's unnecessary for what we're actually trying to accomplish just in our daily lives. Okay. But second, it causes a lot of urban areas to be considered unserved when in fact they're perfectly well served. And of course, money is going to flow there. That this makes sense from an investment perspective. That's our issue with this. I want to move on to Secretary Moniz and move the conversation. Geez, I'm already out of time. About Mr. Moniz. This plan it does not have anything for the one baseload energy that is carbon free, nuclear energy. You've written in the past about supporting the need for nuclear and next generation nuclear. You haven't changed your mind, have you? We still need to do that, I would assume, because the thing about investing in purely renewables is that they're inherently unreliable.
Well, I wouldn't characterize the renewables as unreliable, but I do support, I continue to support modern nuclear, both fission and fusion, by the way, where the private sector in both cases has really stepped up to the plate with enormous infusions, more innovation than we've ever seen in nuclear. And I think this is very promising for impacting our grid needs in the next couple of decades.
Well, thank you. I yield back.